Watergate and Ciryl Gane, what do they have in common? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Here's what happened. Ciryl got robbed over the weekend. Oh, by the way, he got robbed while he was fighting. Now, I don't make light of this. This is a terrible story. But I hear this story in conjunction when I just got done watching this documentary on Watergate, and they decided to break into the Watergate thing when Joe Frazier was fighting Muhammad Ali, because they knew the whole nation was captivated by it. And the way you used to watch fight back then was over a transistor radio. You'd sit around a radio. There wasn't pay-per-view and closed caption and some of these things like that. So everybody, you'd get together with somebody that had a radio and listen to these feeds, and they were right. They walked the streets, and the streets were empty. Police, everybody had their head in somewhere watching a bar. So Ciryl goes out and fights. He fights in his hometown, sold-out arena. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that Ciryl Gane is going to be at this place at this time. And somebody went and robbed him. It could have been a coincidence, sure, but is that the guy that you rob? Like, it's just one of these really interesting things. Like, there seems like some guys that if you're in the burglary business and you've vetted them enough to put a plan together to know where they're going to be, and they're not going to be here. Oh, by the way, there's not going to be a whole lot of witnesses around because they're at this sold-out arena. Then you would know who you're... It would just seem like you want to do that, right? That's where the coincidence factor would come in. I feel like somebody, if you're going to rob Ciryl, I would feel that it would be a complete coincidence. Far more than a vetted plan that likely involves multiple people who will not be able to keep their mouths shut. They stole something that is reported they stole a Rolex. So they think perhaps it's an inside job, right? Like if your house isn't ransacked and somebody knew right where to go and they knew where to grab it, they knew how to get out, like you've got an inside job. And what are they going to do with the Rolex? Are they going to wear it and run the risk? Are they take that to a pawn shop and try to get rid? Like, what do you do if you have Ciryl's Rolex? The only thing that you could do is keep it, but if you keep it, you got to show it off. You have to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody, like, this is just a really rough game to play. And it's a real surprising factor for me from a very disappointing standpoint. Like, Ciryl worked really hard to have that. Why are you breaking into his house? Ciryl was this beloved character. It was this incredible thing to see. I did not know that Ciryl Gane was a star. I knew that he was a big name and that he was getting big opportunities, but he was getting that in a division that was very weird. In all fairness, it was. You got Jon Jones who's coming into it, but he wasn't into it. You got Francis who's on his way out. You got Daniel Cormier who can beat them all, but he's on the outside in a monkey suit calling the match. I mean, it was just an interesting time. You got Stipe who's dead set that he's going to come back and he's going to fight Francis, and we're all trying to tell Stipe, hey, I don't think Francis is coming back. Like, it was just one of these times. And so Ciryl came up, and I didn't know if he was a star. I didn't know that. But when you have a guy that can sell out arena, it's a big deal. When you have a guy that's a main event on both pay-per-view and the worldwide leader, it's a big deal, and it doesn't generally work that way. I don't know that you guys could offer me a different example. I don't know that you could offer me somebody that is a pay-per-view draw that is sold out on pay-per-view and then has been moved over but sold out again because you needed him for a live gate and you didn't have a PPV that day. Like, I don't think there's another example that you could give me. I don't know how many guys you have on the roster that have sold out in the Mecca, which is Las Vegas, oh, by the way, and have sold out in a different country as well. That's a rare level of star. A guy that you could take two different places and you can do a box office with him. And I throw Vegas in just to prove North America. I was in Houston when he fought Derek Lewis. Derek got the credit for it, but maybe Ciryl should have got some of that. Like, he's a big deal. This is an interesting guy. And I felt like he really had his back up against it. Ciryl's an easy guy to pick on. Why? Well, because he can handle it. You're not going to upset Ciryl. You're going to say something bad about Ciryl. He goes around and feels bad about himself. That guy's beautiful. That guy's a champion. He's got 16,000 people stopped what they're doing to chant his name. I'm just sharing for you. Is that the guy that you think would get robbed? I mean, I must tell you, of all the predictions I could have given you for the weekend, and I called that main event correctly. I even called the call out. I told you he's not going to call for Tom. I told you they were going to botch the spot. I predicted everything. I didn't predict that. And the only thing that would have made this piece better, I didn't plan to make it, but the only thing that would have made it better is if I would have brought my Rolex today, shown it to you, and told you I was the one that robbed Ciryl.